All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. Today we're diving into something a little unexpected, something you might not typically associate with, well, mental well-being. We're talking quizzes and riddles.
Yeah, those things we usually think of as just fun little brain teasers, right?
Right. But get this. There's a whole bunch of research that suggests these seemingly simple activities can actually have some pretty profound effects on our cognitive and emotional health.
That's right. And that's what we're going to be exploring today.
So we've got some fascinating sources lined up that really dig deep into how quizzes and riddles can actually be powerful tools for a healthier mind.
And it's not just about feeling good either. There's actual measurable impact on brain function, which is really cool.
Okay, so let's kick things off with this idea of puzzles being like a mental workout. A few of our sources use that analogy, comparing quizzes and riddles to hitting the gym for your brain.
I love that analogy. I mean, we all know that physical exercise is essential for keeping our bodies in shape, right?
Makes sense.
Well, it turns out our minds need workouts too. And puzzles, they're kind of like the perfect mental weights. They force us to think critically, to problem solve, to make connections between ideas that might seem totally unrelated at first.
Yeah, it's like that aha moment when you finally figure out a tricky crossword clue or when you crack a riddle that's been bugging you for ages. You know that feeling.
Exactly. And just like with physical training, the more we engage in these mental workouts, the stronger our cognitive muscles become. There was actually a study done by Dr. John Smith, I think it was at the University of X, where they found that people who regularly engage in puzzle solving, they actually showed improvements in their working memory, their attention span, and even their processing speed, which is pretty remarkable.
That is impressive. So speaking of memory, one of the things our sources highlighted was how quizzes and riddles can actually help boost our memory. I always thought that was more of a trivia champion kind of thing, not something that could actually benefit everyone.
Yeah, that's a common misconception. See, memory, it's not just about remembering facts and figures, right? There are different systems involved, like working memory, which is kind of like our short-term memory bank, and then long-term memory, where we store information for, much longer periods. And what's interesting is that puzzles, they engage both of these systems.
Oh, interesting. So, like, how does that work?
Well, think about it. When you're trying to solve a riddle, you have to hold all those different elements in your mind, right? You're constantly juggling information, trying to fit the pieces together. And with quizzes, you're actively recalling information, searching your memory banks for those facts and figures. And all of this, it actually strengthens those neural pathways associated with memory.
So that time I randomly remembered the capital of Uzbekistan out of nowhere. Maybe that was thanks to my love of Sudoku. It's amazing how these seemingly simple activities can have such a profound effect on our brains.
Absolutely. And it's not just memory either. The benefits, they extend beyond that. One of the areas that really stood out in our research was the impact of quizzes and riddles on focus, which is something that I think it's safe to say a lot of us struggle with, especially in today's world with all the distractions and everything, right?
Oh, tell me about it. So many distractions. But yeah, our sources suggest that quizzes and riddles can be surprisingly effective at helping us improve our concentration. So how exactly does that work? What's going on there?
So when we really focus on a puzzle, we're essentially training our brains to block out all those distractions that are constantly vying for our attention. It's kind of like we're building this mental muscle, this ability to sustain our attention on a single task. And it's actually quite similar to mindfulness meditation in a way.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a fun, sneaky way to get those mindfulness benefits while also challenging our minds, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And the research backs this up too. There was a study published just last year, I believe it was in the Journal of Cognitive Enhancement, where they found that people who did puzzle solving activities for just 15 minutes a day, they actually showed significant improvement in their ability to concentrate during like work tasks and things like that.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And this is where things get even more interesting, I think, because a lot of people don't realize that quizzes and riddles also have some pretty significant emotional benefits, which often get overlooked.
You're right. And I think it's important to remember that, mental well-being isn't just about the absence of negative things. It's also about actively cultivating positive feelings and resilience. And puzzles, they can actually help us do that in a number of ways.
Yeah, one of the sources specifically mentioned stress relief. And I can definitely see how getting lost in a challenging puzzle could be a fantastic way to just take a break from all the worries and pressures of everyday life.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It allows us to shift our focus away from those anxieties and to enter what's often called a flow state, where we're completely absorbed in the task at hand. It's a really healthy form of escapism, and it can be incredibly therapeutic.
It's like hitting the pause button on stress,
Yeah.
just for a little while. And then, of course, our sources also talked about the mood-boosting power of actually solving a puzzle.
Yes. And there's a scientific reason for that, too. Every time we successfully solve a puzzle, our brain releases a little bit of dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and motivation. So even solving a small puzzle can give us this little sense of accomplishment, this little mood boost.
It's like our brain is giving us a high five. It's fascinating how something so simple can have such a positive effect on our emotional state. But, it's not all about the individual benefits either. Our sources also touched on the social aspect of puzzles, which I think is really interesting.
Right, because humans are social creatures by nature. We thrive on connection, and positive social interaction is absolutely vital for our mental well-being.
Absolutely. And what's great about quizzes and riddles is that they can actually facilitate those social connections, especially when we do them in group settings.
Exactly. Think about family game night or pub trivia, or even just, joining an online puzzle community. These activities, they give us a chance to connect with others, to laugh together, to share those aha moments, those experiences of challenge and triumph.
Yeah, and it's a fun, engaging way to bond with people and to feel like you're part of something.
It is. And whether we're, collaborating to solve a complex riddle or engaging in some friendly competition during a trivia night, these activities, they really help foster those social bonds and contribute to a sense of belonging, which is so important for our well-being.
Absolutely. So just to kind of sum everything up, quizzes and riddles, they're more than just fun and games. They're like these hidden gems for improving our cognitive function, boosting our mood, and even strengthening our social connections, which is pretty amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, it really is. So the next time you find yourself with a few spare minutes, instead of, mindlessly scrolling through social media or whatever, why not challenge your brain with a quick puzzle? You might be surprised at how much it benefits your overall well-being.
Absolutely. And that brings us to our final thought for today, something for everyone to kind of ponder. Could consciously incorporating more quizzes and riddles into your routine actually lead to a noticeable improvement in your mental health and overall happiness? Food for thought, everyone.
Definitely something to think about.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.